The Vietnamese community in the US has more than 2 million people, but less than 1% of them work in the agricultural industry. The majority of overseas Vietnamese in the US participate in the seafood industry, especially concentrated in Louisiana. When Vietnamese people arrived in Louisiana, shrimping became a natural job for people with limited English and few other options. Although Hurricane Katrina, 2005, and the BP oil spill disaster in the Gulf of Mexico have been going on for many years, Vietnamese shrimp fishermen still struggle to survive. On a trawl boat bobbing at the mouth of the Mississippi River, a group of Vietnamese fishermen were burning Joss paper money. Captain Phuc Nguyen throws colorful paper-wrapped candies into the brackish water. This community maintains the tradition of praying to their ancestors so that the approximately 22 meters long shrimp boat has good luck, calm waves, and prosperous business. Louisiana's white shrimp fishing season began 2 months ago, and the Nguyen family had reason to celebrate. The boat Lady Hannah and its 3-person crew caught $40,000 worth of shrimp. Dong, on a week-long cruise in the Gulf of Mexico. This is good news for the Vietnamese shrimp fishing community in Louisiana, which is facing difficulties after Hurricane Katrina and the oil spill disaster in the Gulf of Mexico. Vietnamese fishermen make up a quarter of Louisiana's shrimp fishermen, and they began making a living in New Orleans after 1975. Most immigrants from Vietnam, like Sandy Nguyen's father, worked as fishermen. People in the homeland, they can still keep their old lifestyle without having to learn much English. In the following decades, the Vietnamese community in Louisiana grew in population, but at a slow rate. Vietnamese fishermen have close relationships with each other and often treat outsiders with a watchful eye. Prawns are a water-dwelling animal similar to large shrimp or small lobsters. Like shrimp, they're usually red-orange with fanned-out tails. They're popular for cooking and for using as bait to catch larger fish. Prawns are relatively easy to catch using a variety of methods. Whether you decide to catch prawns from the shore or in the water, using a net or a trap, you can have a successful catch. Hunt in shallow water. Prawns hatch in shallow coastal waters. They also tend to stay in large, shallow bodies of water with tide pools or bays. Fish in these waters instead of deep bodies of water. Follow the tide. Veterans always fish for prawns when the tide runs out. This is because prawns will naturally come up toward the surface of the water as it becomes shallower. This makes it easy to skim them out of the water with a handheld net or with a 2-person trawler net. Search tide pools for seaweed. Plant material makes up a good part of a prawn's diet. If you see a tide pool with green seaweed, you'll have a better chance of finding a prawn eating and hiding in it. However, you should be prepared for a lot of hunching over. Prawns tend to hide in awkward spots. Fish in the mid to late summer. July to September is the best time for prawning. This is when the water reaches its warmest temperatures. 3. It is also when many species of prawn have completed the mating season and are more likely to be closer to the shore. 4. Fish at night. Many species of prawns are sensitive to light, so fishing at night is one of the best ways to fish for them. Try to plan fishing trips on evenings when the moon is full. This will maximize the light reflected on the water's surface. Use a flashlight to help you see the prawn's eyes. Shine it in an arc over the surface of the water. Choose your boat. Make sure your boat has enough space for a cooler to store freshly caught prawns. A rowboat without a motor works best, as it won't create noise and scare the prawns away. If you do use a boat with a motor, turn the motor off as you approach the prawn's habitat. Get in the water. After you steer the boat to your desired location, put on your wading boots and climb overboard. When you wade, You can walk through shallow waters where prawns are plentiful and follow them as they move. Return to the boat to store your prawns in a cooler to keep them fresh. Work with a partner. Fishing for prawns will be easier if you work as a team with 1 or 2 other fishers. One of you can be responsible for the net while the other steers the boat or aims the flashlight. Use a sounder. A sounder is a sonar device that can help you find fish. To tell prawns apart from fish, look for a mass of objects coming from the bottom of the water. It should look like a cloud. 5. You can buy high-tech sounders at marine and fishing supply stores for under $100. Method. Choose your net. Fishing supply stores usually sell nets in a handheld variety, similar to a butterfly net, and in a larger commercial varieties adapted for trawlers. Choose which one is right for your prawning needs. Move the water. Create motion in the water around you. Prawns naturally swim with the tide, so your motion will stimulate them to move with the water and come up off the bottom of the bay or tide pool. Use a metal spoon. Position your handheld net behind prawns. Place the spoon in front of them. By instinct, they'll back away from the shiny object. As they swim backward, they'll end up in your net. 6. Bring the handheld net back up quickly. Prawns won't stay in the net for long if you keep it in the water. As soon as you feel the prawns enter the net, sweep it up with a quick upward forearm movement. Angle the net pointed side down to keep the prawns from escaping. Spread commercial nets out. Do this slowly and behind the school of prawns before disturbing the water in front of them. Make sure there is a fisher with the net ready to gather it up around the prawns when they swim into it with the movement of the water. Check for bycatch. Nets sweep up every solid form in their paths. As soon as you make your catch, inspect the net for animals that aren't prawns. Even if you know they're not endangered, toss them back in the water. If you find plastic, metal, or other refuse, toss them in a nearby recycling bin or trash can. Method. Nothing beats a day of fishing followed by a delicious feast of prawns. With plenty of great spots across the coast, there is no shortage of places to cast for prawns. The last month or so has seen an abundance of prawns as well as other baitfish in local waters, making it the perfect time to take advantage of the fantastic fishing the Sunshine Coast offers. Catching prawns is a fun and rewarding experience for all ages, providing a great weekend or holiday activity for both adults and children. The easiest way to find where they are hiding is to look for boats casting for them. Wherever there are prawns, there will be boats. All you need is a cast net and some enthusiasm. The best time for catching prawns on the Sunshine Coast is typically from February to the end of May, but this is highly dependent on weather conditions and rainfall. Creeks and rivers benefit from good rainfall totals to flush freshwater towards the mouth and to increase the salinity in the water, which creates the optimal environment for prawns. Prawns are predominantly nocturnal creatures, making after sunset or before sunrise the times when they are most active. How active they are also depends on the tides, moon phases and weather conditions, so it's worth dropping into your local bait and tackle store or chatting with other fishers to get the most up-to-date info on the area you're targeting. Prawns like to move around under the cover of darkness, so nights around the new moon or cloudy evenings are our tip. Old fishermen and women will tell you that a new moon after rain is the prime time to catch them. Prawns tend to congregate in deep holes in the hours before and after low tide. If you are prawning in a creek that is fed by a river, the first run-in tide of the morning is your best bet as prawns tend to migrate rapidly with the tide at that time of day. Try for the run-out tide in creeks and rivers, or the tide change in open water. If you're land-based, try your luck around lit jetties, bridges or other structures. You'll spot the red flash of their eyes if they are about. You can also use a torch to spot them in the water at night. Although you might be lucky enough to spot them on the surface, it's more likely that you'll find them in deeper water. If you're fishing from a boat with a sounder, prawns typically appear as small, scattered dots, often in a cloud-like pattern. They tend to move around in large schools, which may appear as elongated shapes or arcs on the sounder display, depending on their depth and density. When you've hit the sweet spot, you'll know it, your sounder will be flooded. A quality cast net is your best friend when it comes to catching prawns. You should opt for a top pocket cast net, as the design allows the prawns to swim up into the net, making it easy to drop them in your bucket and get your net back out for another cast. Getting the hang of casting a net can be tricky, so make sure you practice before trying to catch prawns, as reaction time is key. The quicker you can get that net in after spotting him, the greater your chance of filling the net. There's no size limit for individual prawns, but possession limits do apply. The Queensland Government Department of Agriculture and Fisheries limits catches to 10 litres per person and 20 litres per boat, for 2 people or more. The maximum size cast net you are permitted to use is 3.7 metres, with a maximum mesh size of 28 millimetres. After catching the prawns, submerge them in an ice slurry of salt water and ice. If you're not planning on eating them straight away, you can keep unpeeled prawns by freezing them in a container filled with water. The ice layer will help in preserving the prawns and keep them fresh. The trawl net is a large, specialized net that sinks toward the ocean floor and is pulled behind the shrimp boat. Its shape resembles a flattened cone, with a wide front end that allows for a large capture range. The bottom of the net has weights, while the top has buoys. The top lifts up to open the mouth and catch shrimp. In front of the net's bottom, there's a metal chain called a tickler chain. As the net skims across the ocean floor, the tickler chain jostles shrimp, making them more easily caught. The cone structure funnels caught shrimp downward until they reach the bag, where they're kept. Shrimpers haul in the trawls using powerful winches on the boat. Environmental stewardship. Shrimpers prioritize sustainability and minimize environmental impact. Turtle excluder devices, TEDs, allow turtles to escape, and bycatch reduction devices, BRDs, reduce unintended catches. Strict regulations ensure adherence to guidelines developed by the industry and NOAA. Remember, wild-caught American shrimp are inherently sustainable, supporting both the environment and those who enjoy them. Harvesting a seafood meal has always been a highlight of boating the British Columbia coast. With a coastline indented by numerous majestic fjords, its deep inlets are a perfect environment for healthy populations of Pandalus platykeros, otherwise known as the Pacific or spot prawns. This Pacific coast delicacy is the rage of seafood connoisseurs. British Columbia spot prawns have a wonderful flavor and texture. Their sweet, delicate lobster-like flavor make them a favorite for grilling, steaming, or as peel and eat. Due to these culinary attributes, spot prawn lead in popularity among all types of shrimp and are part of a robust commercial fisheries. And because they reside at reasonable depths and enough quantities, recreational harvesting is greatly anticipated by boaters wanting to try their luck. Since all spot prawns harvested are caught with pots, a sustainable fishing method with a relatively low amount of bycatch and habitat damage, they are considered an ocean-friendly seafood choice. Spots are the largest shrimp caught on the Pacific West Coast, measuring 9 to 12 inches in length and ranging from Alaska to Baja California. They are easily recognized by size and their deep pink, red or pink, orange body with white lines on the head and 2 pairs of white spots on the tail end. These giant shrimps inhabit rocky seabed at depths as great as 1,500 feet, where they hide from predators and forage on other shrimp, plankton, small mollusks, worms, sponges, and dead organic material. As hermaphrodites, they spend the first part of their lives as male, then undergo a sex change in midlife, transitioning to female for the duration of their existence. As females, they often have 2 or more broods before dying. To conserve prawn populations, it is mandatory to release egg-bearing females. Eggs are generally present on females from October through March. Every person prawning in BC waters is required to purchase a tidal water sport fishing license. They are available at most tackle shops, marinas and online, www.pack.dfo-impo.gc.ca/rickfish. Recreational prawning season varies from area to area. Before heading out, be sure to check the Fisheries and Oceans Canada website for seasons, limits, catch reporting and equipment requirements, and any emergency closures. BC's commercial season usually begins in early May. It is a good idea to avoid areas where a commercial fisherman has set traps, thus avoiding possible entanglement and/or conflict. Suggest waiting to fish the area until well after the commercial season so stocks can rebuild in the area. This will increase your chance of success. Traps come in all shapes, sizes and materials. There are round, rectangular, and square box traps, even igloo-shaped ones. They can be enclosed by plastic, synthetic or steel mesh. Most fishing tackle and marine supply stores sell a variety of prawn traps. 2 traps to consider are the stackable full-frame round trap or, if storage space is limited, a collapsible rectangular box trap that folds flat. Better traps have frames made from marine-grade stainless steel with 3 one-way conical entrance ramps for round traps and 4 entrances for rectangular box traps. If the traps you purchase are not weighted, suggest installing weights so the trap will not move once placed on the bottom and you will not have to search for it when it's time to retrieve the trap. 10 pounds of lead secured in the trap will do the job nicely. Also, if the trap moves while sitting on the seafloor, the movement will spook the prawns and limit your catch. Because prawn traps are set in deep water, you will need 400 to 450 feet of 5/16 diameter lead line, which will hang almost vertically from an inflatable fluorescent red or orange buoy large enough to keep from submerging in the current. Sinking line is important so passing boats will not snag it, get entangled and possibly do damage. The buoy is required to be marked with your name and phone number with 3-inch letters and numbers. There are as many bait options as there is boaters. Prawns feed by scent and are not fussy about what they like to eat. What is important is to offer a bait that will get a scent in the water column quickly to draw prawns into your trap. Baits include fresh herring, salmon, sardines, or mackerel. A better alternative is to use commercially available prawn bait pellets. They are made from fresh fish, fish meal, and fish oil. The use of the pellets is less messy than fresh bait. We started Captain Experiences to make it easy to book fishing and hunting guides around the world. With over 1,500 damn good guides, our platform makes finding and booking a trip seamless. Head here to check out our trips. Shrimping is a popular recreational activity that allows fishing enthusiasts to venture into the world of crustaceans. Whether you're a seasoned angler or a beginner looking to explore a new hobby, recreational shrimping offers a unique and exciting experience. In this comprehensive guide, we'll take you through everything you need to know to get started with recreational shrimping and make the most of your adventures on the water. Shrimping is typically done in coastal areas, estuaries, and tidal creeks using various methods such as cast netting, trapping, or even hand-picking in shallow waters. Shrimp tend to congregate in areas with marshes, seagrass beds, and sandy or muddy bottoms. Online forums, local fishing communities, and tackle shops can be excellent resources for gathering information about productive shrimping spots. The most common way to catch shrimp is throwing a weighted cast net over a school of shrimp and then pulling it back towards you. It is recommended that you get some practice in throwing the net before in order to have your technique down. Setting up baited traps is another technique that requires you to check the traps regularly. Another way of catching shrimp is by using a dip net. By boat, raft, or even wading in shallow waters, you can attempt to net shrimp in upper water columns. In order for someone to recreationally shrimp, a person must have a fishing license. In order to take or attempt to take shrimp from saltwater must have a valid fishing license. Specific rules and exemptions vary state to state, so be sure to look up the local fishing regulations for where you plan to fish to get the most accurate information. There are a variety of places to go recreational shrimping in the US. The Gulf Coast is home to great shrimping spots in states like Texas, Louisiana, and especially Florida. Check out our guide on the best places to shrimp in Florida for a more in-depth list on great Florida shrimping spots. Cast nets are the most common tools used in recreational shrimping. Opt for a net with a mesh size suitable for the shrimp species you'll be targeting. The size of the net typically ranges from 6 to 10 feet, depending on your preference and the fishing area. Dip net. Dip nets are a very popular method of netting shrimp and are especially great for kids. Dip nets tend to have a smaller mesh and a long pole-like handle, allowing the user to have a further reach. Seine net. A seine net is a large rectangular-shaped net with floats along the top edge and weights along the bottom edge. Seine nets are designed to be used in shallow water areas such as estuaries, marshes, or along the shoreline. This type of net offers the advantage of covering a larger area compared to other shrimping methods such as cast netting or dip netting. They can be particularly effective when targeting shrimp in shallow water areas, as they allow for the capture of a significant number of shrimp in a single haul. Baiting traps with fish heads, chicken necks, or cat food can attract shrimp. Make sure to check local regulations regarding the use of traps and any restrictions on bait. Depending on the shrimping method and location, you may require a boat or kayak to access prime shrimping grounds. Ensure your vessel is in good condition and equipped with safety gear. Shrimp lights. Shrimp are often attracted to light at night. Using underwater lights can help lure them closer to your net, increasing your chances of a successful catch. Buckets or coolers. You'll need containers to hold your caught shrimp. Make sure they have lids to keep the shrimp fresh and prevent them from escaping. Optional but recommended, gloves can protect your hands from any sharp objects or pinchy shrimp. How to cook shrimp. One of the best parts about catching your own shrimp is how fresh they are when cooking and eating them. Shrimp can be served in a variety of ways, making them one of the easiest and tastiest seafoods out there. Check out our guide on the top 5 ways to cook shrimp. Recreational shrimping offers a unique and rewarding experience for people wanting to catch their own seafood. If you're looking to get out on the water and pull in some shrimp, check out our shrimping guides to book your shrimping trip with one of our local professional guides.